Have you ever wondered if extraterrestrials ever visited the Earth? Well, I've wondered that too. It was late afternoon on June 26, 2010. That was an evening that I will not soon forget. I was off work that day and for some strange reason, I suddenly decided to grab a couple of cameras and a ladder and climbed on my roof. I didn't know what I was expecting to see, nor did I know what this was about. I was merely following an impulse. An overwhelming urge to climb up there and wait. I had no idea what I was waiting for, and after a couple of minutes, I thought to myself, this is crazy, why in the hell am I up here? And just as I was about to wrap it up and go back into the house, one large and extremely bright light appeared in the sky, a few miles east of my position. I started to record it as it seemed to be traveling in a straight line, heading north. The whole incident only lasted about 2 minutes, and I didn't quite know what to make of it. So whatever I managed to record, I invited a couple of people to come over and take a look at it. One of them thought that it looked like an airplane, and the other wasn't sure about what it was. After that, I took the video and copied it to a disk and put it away. Almost 2 years had passed before I decided to take another look at it, but after 2 years, I found myself better equipped to assess what the object might be. Over the 2+ years since this video was made, I've learned a lot. In that time, I've become better equipped to handle the information I've managed to collect. During the collection process, I've also gained a better understanding of how to observe and investigate this phenomena. For me to see and film lights in the sky was not enough. I had to find a way to assess what these lights were, and be able to determine the difference between which was man-made, and what was an unknown. For me to accomplish that, I needed to find a new way to analyze these unusual photos and videos. It would take me another couple of years to figure out how to do that. First, I had to figure out how to interpret what I captured in the video. But all I had managed to do was to capture a ball of light, streaking across the sky in a video. So I had to really give it some thought. What should my approach to solving the problem be? The answer I came up with was, to attempt to remove, or try to reduce the intensity of the light. I then took a section of the video where the object was at its largest, and lowered its intensity. After doing so, I could now see some color and what looked like forms moving inside. Next, I slowed down the video, so that I could see each individual frame better. At this point I could definitely determine that there was movement inside. However, I still couldn't determine what was moving. So I decided to concentrate my efforts on a few individual frames, to see if I could make a few of them as clear as possible. This, however, was not going to be easy. There were many obstacles that stood in the way of my goal to see inside this craft. The first one was the brightness of the light, which it seems has been diminished somewhat, at least to such a degree that I could now see shadows, if nothing else. The next problem I had to overcome was distance. Although the craft was close enough to see with the naked eye, it still appeared to be several miles away and several thousand feet in the air. I knew that in order to understand this, I would also need to be able to overcome a third problem, which was speed. There were at least 3 areas in which speed was playing a part in limiting the craft's visibility. First, I had to also estimate the speed at which the craft was moving, in order to keep the camera in focus. Next, I had to consider the speed at which the sphere was rotating, which was something I hadn't noticed until I slowed the video down. The last speed factor I had to consider was the speed at which the objects inside were moving. Which, by the way, appeared to be extremely fast. Well, I shouldn't have to tell you that I was truly overwhelmed at the sight of the first photos. I could hardly contain myself. I could literally see bodies of aliens standing all around inside this craft. At this point my mind began racing. I wondered where they were from. What's life like on their ship or the planet where they came from? Why did they come here? Were they just visiting, or were they planning to stay? How did they find us, and what do they think about the human race? These are all questions I wish I had the courage and opportunity to ask them. And if they were willing to answer a few of those, I only had about 1 million more waiting. The ship's design was impossible to explain. There appeared to be nothing holding it together. The beings on board appeared to be able to walk around freely. The body of the craft was translucent, and it appears that it can be made to seem to disappear. There were beings of all types on this ship, and it was a marvel to see it fly through Earth's atmosphere. And to think that this craft, which was about 400 feet or so in diameter, was one tiny craft that came out of a much, much larger ship, simply boggles the mind. I stayed there sitting on the roof, trying to wrap my head around what just took place. I watched it until it rejoined the larger craft, and it could no longer be seen. I sat there trying to gather myself as I became overwhelmed. I waited several minutes, to collect myself, then slowly gathered my equipment and began my descent down the ladder and went inside. The adventure only became more intense in the days, months, and years that followed. Perhaps they are waiting for us to get our act together. Maybe they realize that we have much further to travel down our path, than the path they took to get here. And perhaps we'll wait a bit longer, till we're ready. Truly ready to graduate to a higher plane of existence. Let me just say, that all of this really happened to me. And I would love to hear your thoughts on the subject. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video. Be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And by the way, keep watching the skies.